Surprising what you find when you clean your workshop. Welcome back, everybody. Got a great video for you today. It's a little challenging. It's gonna be a slow process. I'm working on that pocket door, trimming it out. You'd think it'd be straightforward, but when the house goes like this and like that, and one side of the opening doesn't match the other side of the opening, and their walls are crooked and racked and everything, you have to get creative with the trim work to make it look like everything lines up and everything moves smoothly. This is all red oak. Got dust all over my brand new shirt. Vintage pickup truck t-shirts are for sale on my website, thehandyman.store. A link will be in the description. All right, 80 3/8. In case you're wondering, this breaker here, I'm not sure what I do with this thing. Where's my other breaker? I'm just going to store that right in there. So this is my welder cable. I don't have it hooked in that often. I don't do that much welding. When I do, all I do is I pop this in the top here and then connect this ground. And I've got a 50 amp 220 power supply that I can drag out the front. I can drag over to the third bay of the workshop. This usually just gets coiled up and put away. So if there's any you safety Sallies out there wondering why I have the opening open here, that's why. Sorry about that. As you can tell, it's getting real dusty in here. Whenever I do quite a bit of ripping on the table saw, a lot of dust comes in here. And normally I just flip on the filter fans and leave for 5 to 10 minutes. But they're pretty clogged up and used up, and I'm going to be changing them today using the filter by filters. 20 by 20 by 1 inch is what I use behind these 20 by 20 inch box fans. I put a video up many years ago about using them. And I used to have one right here over the table saw, and everybody would always ask, hey, what the heck is that crazy fan contraption you got with the furnace filter? Well, it is a dust collection type thing, and it does work, especially you got 2 of them going. This is what it looks like, all installed. It's going to hang right here up on this hook. One other little neat thing that I have is I have them on a remote control. That one just kicked on, and kick that one on. Now we're scrubbing the air, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Off. There we go. So have you guys heard of woodworker's cough? I thought it was the only one, but I was watching a woodworking podcast, and it came up that a lot of woodworkers constantly have a throat clearing thing. That's because of all the dust particles in the air. Now, you could wear one of these all day long, an N95, we're all familiar with these, but you'd probably go crazy. There's just no way that I can wear all those. That's why I rely on the filter fans and just leaving when the dust gets too high. Same thing can happen in your house. If you've got a dusty house, if you got asthma or allergies, you can replace them more often every 4 to 6 weeks. FilterBuy has hundreds of different sizes. This is this a 4-incher? I think this is a 4-incher. Merv 13. This is a 5-incher. 20 by 25 by 5. This is just one example of the many different size options they offer. I'll put a link down in the description where you can get your own furnace filters. You can maybe build a furnace filter fan like I have in my workshop. Maybe you just need one for your central air conditioning this summer. It's going to be hot tomorrow. They're going to be running full blast. Hey Google, what's the temperature tomorrow?
Expect a high of 96 and a low of 67.
All right, it's going to be 96 degrees tomorrow, so my air conditioning is going to be running full tilt. Now I got dust collection for the sander, and that helps a lot. I rarely ever see the room fill up with dust when I have my dust collection turned on for the sander. What's going on?
He doesn't want to go inside.
You want to come in?
Yeah.
All right, come on in. Watch your head. Come on in. You say hi? Want to play with some tools? Yeah? What else do you guys want to play with? How about this table saw blade? You want me to raise it up and turn it on for you?
Yeah.
For those of you a little uncomfortable with kids playing on a table saw, it's unplugged and the blade is down. Watco crystal clear lacquer in satin. Didn't bother to clean the gun the last time I used it. That's kind of the beauty of lacquer. You just put some lacquer thinner in it. And, well, we'll see if it works like I think it's going to work. Come on. Starts to drip. Oh, yeah. There we go. Now she's leaking. So this has lacquer thinner and a little bit of lacquer in it from when I last used it. And I'm draining it right back into the can because you always have to thin down your lacquer. And I just kind of have an eye for viscosity. So this is too thick to spray. See how thick that looks? That's why it's okay just to dump your lacquer thinner mix right into your can. You got to be careful with these tack cloths. They can grab a hold of any sort of splinter and ruin your day. So I'm going over this real gently. There may be a little bit of dust left over. I've already blown it off with the high pressure air compressor nozzle. Using 220 grits on the door. Now for the fun part, hand sanding. You gotta get into all the corners where this sander wouldn't get. All the edges, they gotta be sanded and rounded over slightly. There's a couple splinters that all have to get sanded out. You don't want any really sharp edges. That's where your finish will start to peel off. So something I'm thinking about as I'm going through, doing all the fine detail, all the hand sanding into the corners. This is very detailed work. This is very expensive work. For me, just to provide a finished door is $2,000. Keep in mind, I had to procure the door. I had to buy the door. Had to find the door. Drive there, pick it up, bring it back to the workshop, do all the fine details, all the sandings into the corners. Then I've got to go over to my spray booth and finish both sides of it, then deliver it to the house undamaged. It's time consuming and it's expensive. Both sides of the doors, all 6 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 all have to get sealed up, or else you're going to have a door that warps when the humidity goes up and down. Make sure you take all the little splinters off. Now once you spray this, it's going to raise the grain of the wood, and you have to sand the whole thing all over again. That'll be the last time you have to sand. Then you can just build up the layers of lacquer or whatever finish you want to use. It's been blown off. Now I'm tacking it off. You got to be careful that you don't snag a splinter. There shouldn't be any splinters on this because I sanded them all off the edges. So it's best to use a vinyl sanding sealer for your first coat. So when you're sanding after the grain is raised, you just take your hand right over it and you can feel where it's smooth and where it feels like a cat's tongue. Came out pretty good. Actually came out perfect. I don't have any complaints. That's it. 2 coats. This, you can touch it. It's not going to scratch, but it's still not fully cured. And it's not cured enough for me to grab it and pick it up and move it. So I'm going to give it maybe 30 more minutes and then flip it up and do the other side. I'm not sure how good this angle is. Gotta make sure I got enough for 1 coat. Just barely. So keep in mind, I did the top and the sides on the first coat of the other side. So this side here, I'm just going up and down. Good practice on vertical surfaces and not getting any runs. Knowing just how heavy you can put it on to get the coverage and no runs. Pretty confident I'm not going to have any runs. So this is what it looks like after just 1 coat, and I already sanded. So this is sanded with 220. It looks really nice. It's been blown off and tacked off. There's not really a good way to get a well, you can see a little bit of the shine on there. I changed the fan pattern. I'm going to be going horizontal, going from the top to the bottom. By the time I get back to the top to start my next wet edge, this is already drying too much. So you want to keep that wet edge so that everything just blends out together. So I'm going side to side on this pass. Got myself a new torque wrench. Look at the size of this beast. I needed something that would go up to 250 foot-pounds. Actually, I needed 263. I was going to try to get this all in one video, but it just turned out to be a little bit too long. So we're going to cut it here, and we will continue with the next video of the final install. All the trim work, those little things that I built over here on the bench to cover up the door. You get to see if it works. You don't want to miss it. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that bell so you're notified. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.